Well, it is day 2, Sunday at Exeter, Rhode Island for the Trial World Rounds, and I'm going to do something a little different in this video. I am going to be chatting through my observations, some things that I noticed, why sometimes some riders make it to the top and others don't. We're going to do slow-mo replays, comparisons side by side, and just kind of analyze some of the riders. Now, if that's not what your cup of tea is, and you don't want to hear me talking through this, no problem. I've got another video that I made. It's right here, and you guys can see all the action from Saturday with no talking, just cuts to the highlights, and I hope you enjoy it. But for this round, we're going to talk. So this is section 1, Gabri Marseille kicking off things with a huge splatter, and then it's this big ride-up, this rock that just looked massive. I thought, man, I'm going to need a better angle on this. So I actually went up there. This is Jorge Casales. And he just bounces right up. He's got all that momentum built up. And this last step, he just kind of little jump and boom, all the way up. Almost like it's no problem. Once one of the pros figures out how to do it, the rest of them follow suit. All right, so let's talk a little bit as we watch this again in slow motion, how he's getting that much drive as he goes up the hill. He's winding the throttle all the way up, maxing out the RPM, dipping those knees down and forward so it doesn't loop out, letting out that clutch and just flying up the hill. These guys are amazing. Look at him just ride the wheelie out of there. Section 2 here, big up. You can see it's getting a little bit dug out right there before the last hit, and we stayed with the pros for the most bit. This is Gabri Marseille again. The previous day we had stayed with Trial 2 guys, and they're a ton of fun to watch because you never know who's going to win, whereas the pro rounds seem to always know who's going to win. Although a little foreshadowing, if you didn't already know, there is an upset on Sunday. And here's one of the reasons why. The composure here on Gabri as he's trying to make this hill. Whoops. I'm going to talk through exactly what happened there in just a moment as we slow-mo the replay. Look at him regain composure. He didn't make it up the first time. And the reason why is he spun. So watch right here. Puts the drive down. Just didn't go. So all that slipping. And he thought, well, I'm going to have to back up. Now, as he turns around, he is right on the edge of this ledge. You see right there, he's hopping on the back tire, turning around super close. Then just like a cat says, oh, I think I'll jump over here. This looks like a good run. Now, he probably had this planned in the background of his mind. If I don't make it up, here's plan B where I'm going to go. But the composure to be able to do that is just phenomenal. There's Jaime Busto on the same section 2. Now you'll notice his knees. Watch, he actually doesn't overdo this first step, so the front has time to come down. Look at his knees absorbing that impact, get right back on the gas and all the way up. That body position, that body dynamics makes such a difference for these pros. Now I want to talk through this accuracy, this precision between Jack and his minder here. I mean, the ability to put the rear tire exactly where you need it is what makes these guys professionals compared to everybody else. It's absolutely phenomenal. Get in that rear tire in order to get the drive and then to be able to get up, or in this case, almost get up. Now that minder there, just catching the bike so it doesn't tumble back down the hill. Such an important job. As you see Jorge not quite make it up. This section 3 proved to be very challenging at the end. That last step just was really too much. And these are the sections that I love, the ones where sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. You can see the crowd enjoying that because someone's finally made it up. These are the sections that I love. I think it was the odd numbers for this round. 3, 5, 7, 9. Those were like the toughest sections, and so many times the riders just couldn't quite make it. And that's what separates the best from those that aren't. This is a rare exception. Tony not quite getting the drive on that one. Not sure if the rear tire just slipped out or what happened there. All right, section 5. This might have been my absolutely favorite section because as I was there watching on Saturday and then watching on Sunday, I noticed something, and I actually chatted about it with some friends that I was with, and we figured out what they were doing in order to get up the last step because hardly anyone could make it. So this first portion just flying across, splatting up there, getting the rear tire cleaned out, spinning it a little bit. I think we're actually watching Matteo Grattarola here. And it's so hard to get drive. You see they're actually going to be going uphill on a slippery rock, all that moss on there, and they just can't seem to get the drive to then get all the way up there. You know, the rear tire is spinning, and it's just very, very difficult. There's Jorge trying it all in one run because he saw everyone else struggle. Now, if he thought he made it up there, and some people did, he actually got a fight because the minder touched the bike. You can see right here, the minder's going to grab onto that front tire because Jorge does not make it. Then he's going to pull back in order to brace himself against that rock to keep the bike from sliding back. And he's putting his kind of life in his hands. You can see he's grabbing on that front tire, and that's what caused the 5. As soon as the minder touches the bike, it's a 5. Now, on this one, we're actually going to be able to see that rear tire spin out right here. Whoop, just loses some traction before it gets going. His body got a little bit forward. Now, this is Saturday footage. Watch what Tony does here. He's going up that hill. So how does he combat this? Did you notice that little hop there? So I actually pulled out my phone and watched this while we were waiting for the next rider on Sunday. I watched this footage right here. And I said, oh my gosh, he does this little pre-hop. That's the key. He kind of hopped up there in order to get the rear tire up onto that flat rock where he could then drive and get traction and all the way to the top. Now, Gabby, unfortunately, didn't use that maneuver, and there's Jaime and Tony watching exactly what took place. I'm not sure if Jaime saw footage of Tony or what, but his minder says to him right there. Let's hear it again. Now, it's in Spanish, so I didn't catch it, but I asked my Spanish-speaking friends that I was with, and he said, you know, do the maneuver, get the rear tire up there, or do the movement. All right, this is actually footage from Saturday. This is trial 2. Only Arnau makes it up. The rest of the guys just don't seem to be able to get the drive up there, and I want to talk through why that is. This is actually Harry. You can see his rear tire right here hits below that cutoff, right above that root. And it's going to bounce him and kick up a little bit, and that's so different from the way that the big guys were doing it. You see a lot of the trial 2 guys just struggling, and as we wanted to watch the GP guys hit this rock and see what they did differently, because this was very challenging. You see a lot of 5s taken right there by trial GP. Their gates were the same. First thing I noticed, he's on the other side of the rock. His takeoff point's in a different place. Gabby Marseille having no trouble. Now you'll watch him. Look at how high his rear tire hits. He splats earlier, gets liftoff, and check that out. He's at least a foot or more higher before his rear tire is hitting. Therefore, he can continue to drive up instead of getting that rebound from hitting the underside of that rock. It's actually kind of fun to see the GP guys and the way that they ride sections compared to trial 2. Now, here's Tony wanting to see exactly where the rear tire is of Jaime. He's no fool. He wants to see exactly where to go. He's going to get right in front of the camera view, but check this out. Now, he didn't seem to get quite as high. He still made it up. Here's Tony. Woof. Man, that bike's got some horsepower. If you're enjoying the video, go ahead and give me a like. That does a lot for the channel, helps push this content out to more people who enjoy watching trials and learning about trials-related skills. All right, let's keep it moving. This is section 7, Gabby Marseille. This 7, 8, 9, we're through a minefield of rocks, just huge boulders. And I think what most of us don't realize is how challenging it is to pick your way through, placing your tires exactly where you want them to go on these rocks. This is a thing of beauty and precision, and so many riders took 5s in these boulder fields because it's just very, very tricky to keep the tires exactly where you want them to go. So much work with hopping and getting the tires exactly where they need them to be. Now, this last exit rock was probably the biggest portion of the challenge. They fought so hard to get here, and then there's a very kind of big rock, but it's also not very long. So as soon as they were up onto this next one, they had to jump immediately to the final ledge. And you see Gabby makes it up and out of there, which was phenomenal. The crowd loves it because so many riders were struggling right there. Here goes Jack Peace. Now, he tried it all as one movement, which is probably harder to get his focus and concentration right there. Let's see what Jaime does here at the top. Now, he doesn't make it, and it took me a little while to realize exactly what happened because Tony was kind of right in the way. Like, why didn't he go for it? What happened? I thought maybe he was slightly offline, but it's actually a little different scenario. We'll watch Tony, and then we'll compare Tony and Jaime right there at the end. so much precision getting up there. Let's go back and see what happened with Jaime. He actually breaks the tape right here before he even gets up there. I'm not sure if he knew he broke the tape or he was just too far to the left. He's just to the left of that crack right there. Whereas Tony, when he hops up there, he's right on the crack. You can see the rear tire is just about 3 inches further to the right, but that makes a difference. You can see right where the rear tires are landing. Tony's able to continue going up, and Jaime was down and out. One more angle on this. There is a reason he's #1 in the world. Section 8 had a terribly angled exit rock ledge. Now you can't tell, but that thing's actually fading away to the left at about a 45-degree angle. So tricky in order to get traction ahead of time in order to drive all the way to the top. Now Section 9 had this double step that was definitely taking out most of the Trial GP guys. Goodness, for him to get to the top. The previous day he did it without a dab right there. Actually let him finish and then go back and watch that again in slow motion. Alright, check out the way his bike is angled. In order for him to get up right about here, look at how his bike is completely on another angle, but he's just got to go for it. Back on the gas, unweighting again. This is amazing. Here's footage from above the previous day. He makes it clean. Bike goes sideways again, but then immediately back on the gas. It's that rebound like a cat, just jumping and jumping again. Man, his legs are strong. He's getting all the way up there now. Section 9 for the Trial 2 guys definitely was a challenge. This drive up these rocks where they're big and hard to get traction on was a lot. Here Billy Green getting all the way to the top. You can hear his engine just flip, 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 flip all the way up there. But this was a challenge. These are the sections that I like watching because sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. In this instance, didn't give enough drive. Here's Jared Trueba coming from the side, and you see his rear tire just gets bucked off to the edge. He did totally sideways. You can see on this rock right in here, his rear tire hits it and just gets kicked to the left. Here you can see Jack Dance also struggling. Same rock, he's just pulled a little bit too far right, and that rock kicks him to the left. Being perfect with that rear tire is so important. In addition to that, if you're not giving enough RPM, not going to make it to the top. Here's the points leader, Harry Hemingway, in the series for Trial 2. Let's see how he gets on in this particular section. Now, here's that same rock. Let's watch what his rear tire line is. All right, so he's further off left, but this time I want you to listen to the RPM. Listen to the bike. Listen to how many times he's giving it that little blips of gas.
You're gonna get it. Got it.
Putting power down while having good weight on the pegs makes the difference.
He made that look easy.
You can hear the crowd talking about how he made that look easy. Yeah, when it's done correctly, it does look easy, but it's not. I wanted to see section 11 again for the Trial 2 guys because this angled rock at the top kept causing their splatters to kick them way off to the left. Very difficult to get up. So as it turns out, there's Benoit Benkaz. He's on the EM and he's actually going to take a different approach. You'll notice he's lining up for the Trial GP splatter, which takes him to the top of that. Only they have to be to the left of that tree. Oh, kind of little turn in the air, a little hook into it. Here's Sondre Haga. Perfectly executed. Little ingenuity here using the kicker from one obstacle to take it over to the other. Kind of turning left in the air. That was actually very tight at the top between that tree and that other rock. There's Harry Hemingway, the points leader, doing the exact same thing. Now we're going to watch him all the way through this section, especially towards the end. Kind of interesting the way this one plays out towards the finish. See the balance work. This reminds me of X-Trial and his dad telling him to make it 1 inch further to the side. Super precise. Now watch as he gets ready to go up this, revs up the engine and takes off, only to realize, oh, that didn't quite work. I was slipping. I'll just gain a little bit of composure and hop back down and start it over, really dip my knees. And you heard him kind of slowly let out the clutch. The difference here is he just gingerly lets it out and then really gives it a pop. Hops up all the way over those roots with 5 seconds left, makes it to the finish. Now, section 12, I didn't take a ton of footage at because it was very hard as a spectator to see everything. I love watching the guys go up these rocks. Their body position, just on the gas, vup, 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 vup. It's incredible to see them go up these rocks, making it look like it's easy. Now, these riders are the best in the world, and undoubtedly they put in thousands and thousands of hours of practice. But it's knowing what to practice and in what order. If you guys are curious about learning trial skills and you've enjoyed this particular type of video, I've got a ton more on the website. You guys can find a lot of free stuff as far as drills and learning. I've got an app for Android and iPhone that you guys can check out. So all that is available on the website or on the app, Trials Progression. You guys can check out a free course on cambered turns. Hopefully this can be helpful and add value to you. If you're someone who's wanting to learn, this can be a guided direction so that you can make progress faster. Now, I had an absolute blast at the World Rounds, and it's time to get on to our last round at the Ohio National at Lightning Raceway. So more videos and vlogs coming from that particular time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I had a ton of fun taking pictures, taking video. Really enjoy the sport of trials, whether I'm watching or riding myself. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.